Capricorn, Capricorn rising. How you doing, Capricorn? This is your reading for the Pisces Virgo nodal shift that happened on the 11th or 12th of January, depending on what part of the planet you're currently residing in. This is a year and a half long transit. This video is probably going to be a little long, but this is going to be breaking down the overall themes and how to work with this shift, this huge eclipse shift that we've just gone into. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you heard and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language, and all of this is going to be going on throughout, and it's going to bring in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that want to come through for you, my lovely Capricorns. Now I read for the rising signs, so for those of you who don't have Capricorn in the first house, which is your where your ascendant is, it's called the rising sign, look to the house that it does fall in, look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes as well as all the other meaning you've got going on in Capricorn to the messages that come through, because it will be as if that Capricorn energy has now energetically moved to the first house. You just gotta, so the astrology for the rising sign will always still link in. You've just got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. For example, I've got Capricorn over in the 6th house of work, the adult in the room, and I have Neptune there, so I'll apply the themes of the 6th as well as the meaning of Neptune to what comes through in this reading. That's just to give you an idea of how to work with it. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So in this video, I'm going to be pulling, to start with, we're going to do a closing out of the previous nodal cycle, which was in Aries and Libra. I'm going to be pulling cards for all 4 of the cardinal signs, and you were a cardinal sign, Capricorn, because you were being affected by this nodal transit. So we're going to be pulling cards on what's being activated. What now with all the work that you've done, what's being activated in these signs. I'll then go on to break down the energy of the Virgo South Node, pull some cards on that. I'm also going to then bring in the Gemini energy, and I'll explain why when we get there, and then move on to Pisces North Node energy, and then Sagittarius, and I'll be pulling cards for all 4 of those signs, as well as I'm working with 4 oracle decks in these readings. I'm going to be pulling 1 card from each of them at the end of the video. So before I begin, there's a little bit of housekeeping that I want to do. There is, if you want a personal reading based on the Mars retrograde, it's in the sign of Cancer right now. It's done its little stint in Virgo, but we're not leaving this whole retrograde cycle till the 2nd of May. Mars retrograde's the least out of everybody, and when it does, it's a big deal. It's a recalibration of your motivation, your drive, and your action. So if you want a personal reading on that, they are 50% off at the moment. Email me directly if you want to take me up on the offer. I've also set up a new YouTube channel, and this is called Quantum Vibe Tarot. I've linked it onto the homepage of this channel, so it's really easy to find. Also, the link is in the description box. There's only 2 videos up at the moment, but it's where I'm getting to be a bit more playful, a little more creative. It's not fixed in the astrology realm. It's more channeling and quick use of decks, right? And getting transmissions come through, activation and codes come through, and then working with that and amplifying that energy, right? At the moment, there's 2. One is about healing the wounds of the inner child, and the follow-up one was activating our higher avatar of love. Again, as I said, I'm getting to be a bit more playful and a bit more creative with all of it. It's free-flowing. I'm also on camera, which I never thought I'd do, but here we are. So if you feel so inclined to go check that out, it is there in the link in the description box. Right. Is there anything else that I wanted to? Yeah, thank you. There is a 3-part series that I've already done that has broken down the major themes of the sort of the collective energy, the bigger intention of what the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo is up to. So in part 1, I talk about the meaning of the North and South Node, what do they represent, as well as the significance of eclipses. And then in part 1, I pulled collective tarot, and I'd had a lot of channeled messages around the bigger picture of all of this. So that came through in part 1 for the Pisces North Node energy. I also pulled these oracle cards as well in that reading. And then part 2 is the Virgo side of it, the South Node in Virgo. Again, collective tarot, big channeled messages, bigger picture energy. And I'm not going to be touching on these themes so much in this video because I'm going to focus on the houses, right? And the meanings of the houses, because otherwise all these videos would be, I was going to say 2 hours long, but Leo ended up being 2 hours. So 2.5 hours long if I put all that in. So, you know, if you do want a deeper resonance, a deeper meaning of that bigger picture of what the overall themes of what Virgo's doing with the South Node, overall themes of North Node and Pisces, go check out those videos. Part 3 is the combination of the two, how they work together, as well as some astrological references, clues and not clues, tips on how to work with this energy in terms of more of the just other little bits and pieces that came up in part 3 as well. All these oracle cards, well, apart from these 2 piles, I pulled before doing the whole transit series. The oracle reading is always the last one after the all 12 sign series. So I just thought I'd reference that if you want to come back and watch the oracle reading later on when it comes out. Big energy coming off of it already, and I keep them on the table so this energy comes through in all the other readings. At the time of recording this video, the ascendant was in Aries, and that meant your Capricorn energy was up in the 10th house of visibility, right? The life path energy. It's at 29 degrees of Capricorn today, and it is trining the South Node in Virgo and sextiling the North Node in Pisces exactly by degrees. So we're really connecting in a harmonious way to this nodal axis for you in this video. Right, let's get into the reading. So we're going to sort of close out the last nodal cycle in Aries and Libra, and obviously Capricorn, that was squaring your energy. That was a big deal. You've just gone through a massive transit. Right, so that North Node in Aries, that was in your 4th house of your roots and your foundations. Your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, parental figures, your private life, and the roof over your head. It's both your literal and figurative foundations and how to grow. I see a tree in the natal chart, and the root system of that tree, right, of this incarnation is in the 4th house. So that North Node energy is the head of the dragon, right? It's what you're hungry for, what you're striving for, heading into new territory, right? This is really amplifies heading into new territory. Around what does your home mean to you? What does safety and security mean to you? There's a real sort of the literal push with the North Node being in the 4th of wanting to expand that sense of literal home, right? That may be moving home or just figuring out, maybe building an extension. That would be like heading into new territory with that kind of thing. But overall, it really energetically, it's a deeper development with your sense of self in regards to the past energy, right? Either the parental figures or your ancestors. That it's almost like that fall energy of moving into a space that is that isn't so entangled with the wounds, right? With our parental figures. I mean, the 4th house holds a lot of trauma. It doesn't really matter what kind of growing up time you had, there will be one thing or another which acts as this sort of parental wound, and often it's recreating ancestral energy as well as just generally the weight of the ancestors, of perhaps them not feeling safe and secure, right, in their home space. So that North Node was really helping you like grow your root system, grow your sense of stability and strength, and your, you know, having a healthy root system means our tree can grow really big, right? It can expand at its true rate. tuela dialama do shalama dianima or tu fala dianima. So it really was this sort of amplification of your connection to the past, and making a great deal of peace with it so you can move into that new territory, right? Also really amplifying and deepening a relationship with the ancestors that you may not have experienced in this lifetime as well as those things that I said about the home, the literal home, of feeling the need to transform it and take it into another space. So that was the North Node, and that's where eclipses were happening. So that was activating and instigating new cycles, right? As we're heading into new territory, there would have been just an overall real focal point on that fourth house energetically over the last year and a half for you, because the North Node amplifies the sign that it's in, and therefore the house that it's in and the themes of that house. The South Node up in Libra, right, is the tail of the dragon, right? This is the releasing, the purging, the letting go of it all, right? And that can feel very disorientating, because we struggle with change, we struggle with letting go of things, particularly if we think they're the things that we need, right? And it's very often not the case, especially with the South Node transit. It was just shedding you of a lot of tension around the 10th house. Is your life path, right? It's your career. Career doesn't have to be life path, it can just facilitate it. It's your visibility and your reputation, right? It's the how the bigger outside world sees you. And so that South Node would have fundamentally let go of a lot of wounds around being visible, right? A lot of wounds around understanding your path, and how you're seen and what your reputation is, right? So often our life path can be blocked because we have this instinct, this desire to be seen, right? To be respected. When some paths are not for others, essentially your path, you should be shining your own light on your path, right? And that can be really difficult, right? Because we can also have a lot of expectations from the parental figures, right? Of how you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to conform. And so the combination of these two were letting go of a lot of wounds around that was allowing you to, in your foundational space, forge into new territory. And then in the 10th house, really, when you let go of so much, you are left with the frequency that's remaining in order to cultivate it and bring depth and nuance to it. Whereas the North Node for me is a yang energy, right? It's that outward manifestation. It's the desire to take action, right? And build and expand. Whereas the South Node is a more yin, inner, esoteric experience. It's a withdrawal inward, right? A real sense of, what is my path? And then having things fall away. You may have had certain jobs or career paths not quite work out in the way that you would have liked to, because we're not seeing the outward manifestation so much over in that 10th house. But it's given you the space to kind of go, well, what does this all mean to me? What really serves me? What really lights up my light? Because it is a South Node. Even though it's about purging and letting go, we're then left with an energy that we're very familiar with, because it's often about the past, the South Node, past life energy. It can see an activation of a past life wisdom to help you walk your path. They were just doing some work around the heart, and then they pulled it to the in between the sacral chakra and the solar plexus, right? So that's that creativity and joy in that will, that action out in the world of the solar plexus, and bringing that into the table. So you would have had activations there of certain letting go of certain situations. And that would have been, it's a huge transit. It's a huge transit. But at the end of it, it's with the South Node, it's always trust the process. Because it's eclipses. So you're dealing with bigger energy that's outside of your control. And really trust the process of, okay, whatever's going on, I'm going to work through it. And I've got to trust that something more, it's like the way that I've been describing the kind of energy you're left with after a South Node transit is essential oils rather than eau de toilette. Now, this is not me having a judgment on either of these things, simply the concentration of the intensity of the perfume, right? Of what you can smell with essential oils is very potent. Whereas eau de toilette, it's a lightness of being, right? It's a lighter energy. So you're getting to like, what is the path? Now, that Aries North Node was manifesting and building in your sign, Capricorn. So this is why I bring in all 4 of the cardinal signs in with this particular cycle, because the South Node and the North Node, that's where the eclipses happen. Squares, which is what this energy is doing, right? A 90-degree angle to, you got Libra and Aries, and then the cross point of your Capricorn energy and the Cancer energy. So that's lots of 90-degree angles there, which are ruled by Mars. And Mars is the master builder, really, right? It's how we embody the master builder on a personal level. Because arguably Saturn's got some weight on that. But essentially, squares, and that's what's happened with the Capricorn energy, is where the North Node in Aries was manifesting and building, and that is in the sign of your first house. This is your sign, Capricorn. How you embody yourself, either your sun or your moon, is the one providing wisdom to your navigator, who is your ascendant, of how you move through, which is the lens in which you move through these cosmic waters. So it's your actions and your deeds, right? It's your body, your character, your sense of self, and often how other people see you. And so all of this sense of you pushing into new territory when it comes to what your foundations are, right? And how you're able to build from those figurative foundations / literal foundations. We're seeing a growth and a development in your understanding of self, right? And how you embody that. Lol. I'll try and remember when that card came out at the word that I said. Of how you embody this expansion tarot energy, right? And again, that sort of that moving into spaces where you're not so entangled with the wounds of our childhood, with the wounds of the ancestors, which is allowing you, your embodiment of self, to be more free to your own frequency, right? That Aries energy, the I am of it all, feeding into you, Capricorn. So you're able to then build with this higher clarity, because we're always going through stages of what's going to serve the root system of your tree, right? And therefore the actions and the embodiment of self are going to be in alignment with the growth of your tree. You just got to trust, right? Now, the Libra South Node was manifesting over in the sign of Cancer, which is your 7th house, the house of the other, right? This can be business partners, one-on-one clients, your therapist, intimate friends, right? Really significant friends, as well as longer-term committed romantic relationships. All right. Okay. Just seeing the card at the bottom there. As well as source, right? So that release, that pulling back, that withdrawing away from the busyness and the productivity of the 10th house, right? That stripping yourself bare and understanding truly what your life path is and how to, right, really condense that energy was showing up over in Cancer. And so that may have meant that you've had some more free time to understand and work with the other. This may be brainstorming with a friend or a business partner about, oh, these things have fallen away, right? So how are we going to work? What are we going to do, right? And how brainstorm, rather than the outward manifestation, that sort of inner cultivation, or like that sort of one-on-one cultivation of the nuances of, okay, well, what path is showing up now? I'm getting a lot of support from the 7th. More focal point on the 7th for some of you, like if work hasn't been as busy or as your main focus, that may have given you more time to establish a deepening of one-on-one relationships, because the South Node's very mature, right, in its energy. And so that's been funneling into Cancer of like, it's been difficult, right? Because it's still that inner isolation, that's still that recalibration internally about what does the other mean to you? How do you show up with the other? How the other's showing up for you? And like really needing it is, in a nutshell, whatever relationships this can reference, is serving that longer term journey of your path. So you may have just found yourself not being focused on certain relationships in your life because you inherently, intuitively know that that's not the direction that you're going in, or it's not going to serve you right now to really fixate on certain aspects. A purging of the emotional body, where we then seek out the other that distorts our frequency, that distorts our path, that doesn't help with the path, right? We're supposed to help each other, right? And so this would have really been activating a cycle of you working through that, right? And that may have shown up in certain dynamics in your life. And some people, when we change, those around us who have the similar soul contract, they will change too. But those who don't, they will go their own path. And this is honoring the I am of the Aries energy to accept that and be at peace with that. And so you would have come out of all of this with a stronger footing, right? Of what it is that you need in your life. And obviously all these houses, all these signs we're all working together, right? There, you would have seen crossovers of all these full signs of 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th. These are the angular houses of a chart. They mark the foundational cross. They're significant houses. When we have transits here, that, self, home, other, life path. They're the bigger things in our lives, right? And so we need them to be in balance. Now, the Capricorn Cancer energy, they are the branches, right? For our tree to grow at its fullest, it needs to be in balance. And that 10th house with the Libra energy, that's where the sun was at the peak of its arc on the day that you were born, right? So this is the top of the tree where the leaves are striving, they're expanding towards the sun. So you've really gone through a huge recalibration around your incarnation, right? and what that means to you, right? Let's get on with the cards. So this is the Capricorn energy. No, Aries energy, my bad. We've got the Queen of Wands, so we've got big fire energy. She's sitting firm and secure in her throne, right? She is not phased by other people's expectations, desires. She knows, she understands her instincts. She understands her power, right? She knows how to always go towards the sun, because we have that sunflower. We have the lucky black cat as well. I really love this for the 4th house, right? It's a yin energy. It's able to cultivate and bring nuance and depth to your home, to your foundations. But I'm just really focused on the position that she's sitting in, right? She's the only queen who sits in this position. If you think about the time frame in which this outfit is sort of medieval energy, right? Or Renaissance energy. If a woman sat like that, they would be deemed very independent, very controversial, and deemed not to be a proper lady, right? This figure doesn't care, right? And this is not sex specific. We have the feminine and masculine within us all. This is just this inner confidence that you now have. You're feeling very secure. There's a trust in your instincts of how things are going to unfold. Perhaps some of you are going to be getting a cat, right? For the Libra energy, 10 of Wands in reverse. Love this for a 10th house energy, right? No longer seeing that life path, the work, as the burden, right? The trudgery of it all, doing all the work, having no support, can't even enjoy the ride, right? Because this figure, you see, it's very powerful to be able to carry all these 10 wands. This figure is an absolute boss, but they can't even see it's a beautiful day. They're really hunched over. This is a slog of a journey, right? And so this is all about the perspective of how we perceive our path, how we perceive work, right? The sort of having to do all the things in order to get any praise or be recognized, and never feeling like there's a sense of reciprocity here, right? It's very karmic in its nature as well. So that ties in with the expansion in the North Node. You've got 2 fire energies showing up here in that Aries energy of releasing this, releasing that sense of it will always be this. and the lightness of being. It's not that you're not going to have lots of things to do, but there's support coming in. There's a perspective, there's an instinct that you'll have more energy now, right? South Node can drain the energy. But it's left you with the truth of your path. The Capricorn energy. Now, this card flipped out when I said embodied the first time. It's Taurus, right? It's the Hierophant. And this is the embodiment of the spiritual path, right? This is the Pope. And the Pope usually, right, let's take out all of our opinions about the Catholic Church. It's a representation of a bigger thing, right? The Pope usually goes through its own spiritual journey. It questions things. And it you know, it's all in the mind, and it goes in the heart and the body and the emotional body, and it goes up and down in circles and back and forth and loses faith and comes back to it, and to the point where it then becomes embodied, right? It's not just in the mind, it's not just in the heart, it's in your whole physical body of believing in this connection that you have to something that is bigger than you, that you know you are a part of, right? The wisdom teachings of it all, right? It doesn't have to be book religion. Obviously, it can be any kind of spiritual practice. And this is in your first house of self, your embodiment of self, or this level of commitment for you to walk your spiritual path. However that looks for each of us, right? All paths are spiritual, by the way. But this is a doubling down of your embodiment of self and how it's in alignment with this path, with this elevation. And it's a high commitment, and you knowing it, you're not questioning it, right? Because this figure is talking to other people and they're listening. So there's a real sense of authority, command, and commitment to this embodiment of self. Now, for the Cancer energy, we have the world. Hey, Saturn. So know thyself and the world will open up to you. A level of maturity. You've cleared away a lot of conflict internally, right? And so often a lot of the seventh house energy can bring about conflict, right? We can give ourselves over to the other or run away from it through fear of commitment and responsibility. So the world card is all about pulling back all those layers, right? And the more that you know yourself, the more you get to the root energy, and that then clears the energetic field in your frequency, which means source can come and create from this pure state, right? She is unclothed, she is free, she's flying in the sky, which is wild, right? So there's this sense of, and there's this sense of protection as well, of the zero, as well as a new beginning coming in, of the confidence, of the maturity of self, that there's certain things that would have annoyed you in the past or had you doubting who you were, and that's just falling away. There's a confidence, maturity, a sovereignty here, and a freedom here. So this can be the elevation, right? The maturity of the one-on-one relationships that you have in your life, a heightened connection to source, where you know you can move through this world, knowing that you're protected, know that you're supported, because you always step back into an alignment, right? You're in that observer mode, and you know when you're not, and you pull yourself back in, and you're not questioning other people and how they're behaving. You're going back to yourself and reorientating yourself that way, which is then, as I said, seeing relationships in your life take the next level, right? Now, at the bottom of the deck, for the overall energy, we got the King of Cups. Yeah. So the King of Cups is, you know, it's kind of tying in with that Cancer energy. Of no longer being distorted by your emotional body in a way that isn't healthy. The King of Cups is floating on a stone throne on top of an ocean. It's not drowning in the emotions, right? It understands and harnesses and works with the flow state of emotions and knowing that they are all transitory, right? They're in the eye of the storm. They're not getting lost and swamped in it. You know, this is a real maturity and sovereignty and elevation of your emotional body, your intuition, right? Your creativity, your imagination. And this is really, you know, I love this as the sort of root energy here of you being very in your power, right? Whenever I get the King of Cups, I bring up the trick to it is is creating a place of neutrality within yourself. You're a multifaceted being. You're capable of being really, really sad, like really grief-stricken over a certain situation, or raging over something. But there's a part of you that gets stronger and stronger and stronger that is entirely neutral to whatever's going on, right? But we do have to process those emotions. But then we pull ourselves back to that neutrality, and then the energy that we get from that, right, that flow state that we get after that process is for you to be able to create and build in the world from that emotional body. I am here for it. It's like not getting stuck in the drama, trusting your intuition, right, and allowing that flow state to ripple through all of those houses. Oh, I have a feeling this one's going to be 2 hours, right? Okay. So I'm going to let's cut the deck and put the cards back. Let's see what comes with them. Queen of Swords with the World. So realizing you are in a landscape of thriving. You are open to receive rather than that restriction, rather than that sense of entanglement that hasn't served. Knight of Cups with the Hierophant. I love that. Tapping into your flow state, moving through the world from a place of love is your spiritual path. We got the 10 of Wands with the 7 of Cups, and this is that liberation energy away from the earthly, material, restricted expectations of miracles, right? Expectations of how things are turning out. That 10 of Wands is broken you into more of a fantasy space in the best possible way, where you're no longer confined by the old expectations, the old things that have happened that you've observed, and you're like, well, that's legitimately probably going to turn up again. That 7 of Cups is like, no, we are breaking away from this, and more options are coming in that are more in alignment with you. Queen of Wands has come over the 5 of Cups in reverse. So one, clearing out of grief, right, of a heavy energy, and activating that healing process that's a freeing your instincts, right, freeing you. Cut the deck and got the Wheel of Fortune. Love it. Right, the fate is changing. Okay, so let's get into the South Node in Virgo. Where is this happening for you? This is happening. Oh, no, okay. This is happening up in your 6th house. No, 9th. I apologize. 369. So this is your house of perspectives, right? This is about your morals, your ethics, your philosophies, your connection to book religion, source, nature, science, all of those matrices that are bigger than you, that you're figuring yourself out in them, and how you work with them, and what new ideas you might be having in regards to the response to engaging with lots of different perspectives. God, Mercury's not even retrograde. I cannot blame it on that. That it's about mastering of learning something as well. We're here to share perspectives, not try and change people's minds. That's entirely up to them. It is about teaching, right? So it's that, again, that sharing perspectives, as well as going somewhere that is unfamiliar to you for a longish period of time in order to broaden your perspective. So those are the themes of the 9th. I'm a big fan of the 9th house, right? It's how you sort of observe the world and observe what you feel about all of it, right? And it really helps you get into understanding, right? What are these perspectives that then allow you to move through the world, right? How do you embody them? So the South Node is there, right? From the 11th or 12th of January, depends what kind of planet. Can't remember what time. I think it's around 11 p.m. on the 11th here in the UK, so that'll give you an idea. You may have been getting a lot of clues around all of that in the lead up. I certainly did. I've got the South Node in Virgo. It's the tail of the dragon. It's about releasing, letting go, things falling away, right? A pulling inward. And it's in my 2nd house of regular income. And I had a fellow Leo rising lose some regular income, which meant she couldn't hire me on a regular basis in the same way that she was before. It was so on the astrological money. So there is this, and I say this because that would have normally scared me, right? You know, understandably, like losing regular income, it's not the best thing in the world, is it? But I felt so serene when it was happening. Like, admittedly, I understand astrology, I know what's going on, but it felt so in alignment. And then the next day, I got an offer for a one-off work situation, right, where the North Node is for me, that there's an element of trust here with all of this. I'm just referencing it because sometimes, obviously, we can have some real surprise shocks with the South Node. It's not the easiest of transits. It's profound and powerful. I mean, look what happened. You got the 10 of Wands in reverse with all that letting go of that Libra energy. And now we are letting go of perspectives, right? And we are purging certain ideologies, certain understandings of the universe. And this is so powerful, Capricorn, given what's going on with the astrology of the expansion of our consciousness, right? And so this is clearing the decks so you can get some high grade perspectives coming. Not that you don't have high grade perspectives already, but there's so much we don't know. Nama dishani moduela diatiani mo toela dialima tufala diatumana. I would say if you've got plans of going to travel for longish periods of time, there's a strong chance none of those plans might work out. Ituela dialama dishinima dishanimo duela dianima ditinima otuela dishalimo dufala. And as I've been saying with all the signs for the South Node, you just got to trust the process, guys. I know we're really yang orientated of like, we're going to take the action, I'm going to manifest, I'm going to do the thing. And the South Node's like, hold up, sit yourself down. And yeah, so definitely a releasing a lot of limiting beliefs and limiting perspectives, right, of how you see yourself in the world, how you understand the world around you. And so much of that, of the ninth house, can get a bashing at the moment, given that everything that's going on in the world, right? And we can really fall into a grief space when it comes to our perspectives. And this is really helping you navigate outside of that, right? So often we can feel really bad about what's going on with the world, but we're not necessarily going to do anything about it. And instead, we just worry. It affects the joy in our day to day. And then that's draining the joy for the whole collective consciousness. So often we can get stagnant in our desire to help or be an activist or whatever that is. That this process, I very much feel, is clearing away the distorted guilt a lot of us can have. I'm very aware of my privilege, super aware, right? And I used to go around in a shame spiral because I wasn't doing all these perceived things that other people I knew were doing. Like, they were more outward activists of what's going on with the world. And it really came very naturally for me of, it's the inner work for me. It's the inner work, and I know that inner work is then accessible to the people around me, to the collective. There are lots of different paths that can help you navigate back to your present moment, rather than the bigger picture, rather than that, all the stuff that's going on in the world. That if you're not going to do anything about it, and I'm not saying don't do stuff about it, but if you know you're not going to and you're just going to feel sad about it, that is fundamentally a misuse of your time and your energy, and it's doing a disservice to all of those who are in all of those situations, right? You're not in that situation, so live and enjoy your life. The trick with this nodal axis is don't push. Don't push where there's resistance. Soften. That is the trick. If you've got a fear going on, find a way in your body, in your emotional body, to genuinely let it go, right? Even if it's for a nanosecond where you feel good, right? Your perspective feels good. The universe will then solve that fear for you at the moment. I mean, I'm very wary of the definitive nature in which I said that last sentence, but the last 2 weeks so the lead up to the change, which is often you still get big energy from it as well, every fear Every fear perspective I've had, I've made the conscious energy to, one, appreciate the frequency, understand the emotion, not shame the emotion and hide from it, but then let it go and do practices. Doing practices to really feel that in my body. And every time the thing that I was worried about was resolved very quickly. It's getting quicker and quicker every time. And as I said, I'm very wary of saying this in a definitive way because it might not be for everyone. It might not show up in that speed. I've been practicing this for ages. Anything I say here is always stuff I've put into practice. And I'm just feeling called to say there's a strong energy around letting go of fear. Because the South Node can highlight that which we're letting go of, or that of which you need to let go of if you're resistant to the letting go process, right? So don't resist. Understand that there are going to be some fundamental shifts that happen. This transit, with the South Node being here, isn't going to happen for another 18 to 19 years after the closing out of this cycle, right? It's a big deal. So old ideas of what you thought you were, because it's really disarming when you lose certain perspectives, are going to be falling away and leaving you with a stronger condensed certainty. And when I say certainty, truth is very fluid. We don't know everything, but a stronger grounding in how you work with your perspectives that serve this path that's opened up energetically with the South Node in Libra. If you're working on like mastering of learning something, this is going to help you get into the root of it. It's going to help you really condense that energy. It may be a little difficult to access. It may take stages to access it because with the South Node you can just feel that area of your chart's very isolated. You're not doing the themes of that chart in the same way that you were before. But once you sort of have that awareness of that's a energy that's around, acknowledge it, and ask for it to allow you access to that condensing process. You can really harness that frequency. With the South Node, it can be bringing back perspectives from past life energy. You may have some people who come into your life during this cycle who are acting as mentors or providing of exchange of information that come either from your past, your literal past, or from past life energy, soul family kind of stuff, showing up to help support you through this. Right, let's get into the tarot. So the intention of this transit is the 9 of Wands in reverse with the 6 of Cups. I love this energy. So the 9 of Wands in the upright is feeling very, very isolated, very no support, exhausted, burnt out, always on the defensive. Right, always feeling like there's a battle coming round the corner. They're sort of hitting around the heart space very firmly. And now on the other side. Sort of around the glands, around the armpits. Now at the heart chakra. I always feel like this is a very martial energy with the drumming. Anyway, so this figure is determined and stood by their agenda, their perspective, but that is then through various circumstances now is this sense of isolation, this sense of exhaustion of I've always got to defend my point of view. Now, this is probably for very good reason, right? That you may have had certain perspectives that people around you like immediately just were on the attack over, despite how you're presenting it, right? So that may have led to a cycle of you perceiving that not only are your perspectives, but the way that the world is mapping out around you is you got to be on the defensive. You're the only one who can do anything. You cannot rest. You've got to keep going. going, you gotta, where's the next flight? It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Right. So love this in the reverse, because we don't need to be in conflict if people don't agree with us. We don't need to be in conflict with those who don't, have the same perspectives. The more that we are in a state of that neutrality, which I talked about for the previous cycle, when we're in situations where we feel this sort of this impulse to perceive an attack, there's an energy that's wanting you to let go of that reasoning. And you may find a lot of situations show up that are going to help you be in this non-confrontational space, this non-conflict space. This is almost like highlighting the I am Aries energy of honoring the I am of self and the I am of everybody else, right? The less we're in conflict, the less we're in criticism, right? The less we're in this past energy of expecting the same thing over and over again, the more we free up space, right? The more we free up this sense of connection and harmony. Six of Cups. So you're letting go of being potentially on the defensive, exhausted of your perspectives, burnt out, just really like run down, and you're releasing that energy, and you're also coming into a greater space of peace, of safety and security of this, your perspective of this incarnation. This card follows the Five of Cups, right? That grief energy, that very stagnant, heavy energy. And I'm not saying stagnant in a negative way. It just is. It's a very still frequency, right? It's heavy and still. There isn't movement there, right? And this is following that. And now through that process of grief, you're able to find the flowers. And this genuinely does sum up that kind of whole chat thing that I was focusing on, which I don't normally do. But because you're now, there's a softness here, right? Your emotional body has come into balance with this six. And often it's about making peace with the past of all the situations that have happened to you, that you have good reason to be in a grief state over, of being like, oh, I can let go of that now. I can release that, right? Virgo's very critical. Virgo's very hyper. There's a hyper observation there, right? And sometimes it can struggle letting go of the receipts. I say that as a Virgo sun. And in the part 2 of the 3-part series, I talk about some big stuff with Virgo, and obviously part 1, big stuff with Pisces, that I really do recommend. I don't want to try and condense it because it's a very powerful energy that is very linked into this, what's coming through here. And now, as I said, this also, this can be you making peace with the past, right? Seeing the flowers that have now grown out of the difficult times, you feeling more safe and secure. It's the biggest house in tarot. And this is also can be past life energy coming in, right? And helping you with that process, and also helping you feel very, as I say, I love this for the 9th, of you feeling here in this incarnation on an emotional level, very at peace with yourself. The challenge, the Lovers in reverse. So the Lovers in the upright is all about making the right decisions that serve you for the longer term goals, right? Through the integration of the masculine, feminine, and spirit. At this decision-making time, the crossroads, we're able to make the right one, right? It's also about being in love, right? This can be about romance. This can be about the love of your life, this as in like your own life, in terms of that perspective, the love of the world, the love of society, the love of all the other perspectives. But it's in reverse. So there's a block here, both on being in love with your own life, your own incarnation, which I think we all struggle with. We're like, I know I signed up for this, but God damn. And also about, this is a slowing down yin process, that there may be a frustration around not being able to make decisions that are part of your longer term goals, that there are certain things going on that are being let go of, that is clearing the way of your old decision making. And you just might find yourself being a bit frustrated by that. Okay, I cut the deck to give you some advice on that one. We got the Fool. So it is about the old decision making and the old choices still knocking around, and that full energy is really wanting you to lead from your heart, right? And that there is a fresh energy that you're working with because of what's being let go of. How to work with the intention. We have the Page of Pentacles and the Two of Cups, which is the minor arcana version of the Lovers. Love the Page of Pentacles, new ideas, be open. The page has just got into the court. It wants to talk to everybody. It wants to learn everything. It's so excited. It's not jaded. Page of Pentacles is also very studious, very dedicated to the embodiment of learning and gaining new perspectives, new ways of communications, new opportunities coming in. They want you to focus on the release. Also, pages can be linked into children. So there's something perhaps around perspectives that are falling away that you may come to an awareness of, and then you can do further work on, of perspectives of when you were a child that come from wounds, as well as the perspectives from your youthful energy that come from love. It's all going to serve in terms of the recalibration, but open mind, open heart is what I'm getting very, very strongly. Trust in the process, be open to the messages, right? Even if it may feel a bit destabilizing, go out and play around with different ideas, put them into practice, see what works for you, experiment, right? Because we're refining here. We got the Two of Cups as well, right? Focus on respect, honor, and dignity of operating from a space of love, right? To be open to receive, to be open to give. And it's a very powerful sense of union within yourself, as well as how you implement and grow with those perspectives. That is about balance, that is about harmony, but it's about respect, right? So this is respecting the other person, respecting their ideas, not losing your sense of self because of it. Standing strong in your power and your capacity to do some deep healing work during this cycle. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Swords in reverse. So this is the root energy that I feel is manifesting. Is part of your journey is to go inward and realize you have left the old land, right? You're at the new landscape. Who are you? Right? This is the moon in Libra, right? This is the going inward to recalibrate your perspectives, right? And trusting in the intuitive process, in the inner experience. It's in reverse. So this is saying that with this cycle, you're going to be able to know who you are, right? And how you then move through the world. And it's going to be very, very powerful. Right, now I'm going to be pulling two cards for Gemini, because this is where the South Node is manifesting in the same way that the Cancer energy was part of it. The Cancer energy was manifesting that South Node in Libra. So Gemini for you is in your 6th house of work, the adult in the room. This is work, how you figure things out, physical health, routines, co-workers, and therefore collaboration, pets, and acts. Oh, okay, an acts of service. Ituela dianima, dishenimo tuela, dianima otuela, dianima otuela. Right, you've got a bonus card. Dialama doshenima, inima, inima. Sorry, my loves. One of the cats that I adopted over the summer they're little trauma babies, and they oh, you're gonna come over, here you go, hi. This one's really struggled to ever sit on the bed, right? Even though she loves, sorry if you're seeing her rear end quite a lot. Little one, you gonna come to camera? Dishinima, inima. 6th house is also about pets, by the way. Lol. Okay. I might have to pause to get you off, little one. Anyway, she's been hanging out on the bed as of yesterday and today, very naturally. I'm trying not to force anything with any of these cats and trusting in their own healing journey, their own healing process. I'm so sorry, you really do just have a cat's ass. In short, and this is what's going on with the astrology. Is go that way. is trusting in the unfolding rather than trying to control anything. So rather than trying to get her on my bed, I was just like, okay, I gotta let go of any, it's more because it's warmer in my room a lot of the time, and she loves cuddles as well. That it's, for her, it's for her joy and her love, but I didn't want to force it. And I just sort of let it happen. And then naturally, she just jumped on the bed yesterday. So this is obviously relevant because everything that usually happens in a reading is very relevant. So this is the Gemini energy that I'm talking about, that sense of, one, it's co-workers and collaboration, but also it's pets, right? And so it's that dynamic with something, with energies that can't communicate in the same way. And how do you work with that? I've never said that about the sixth house before. Cool. So you could argue this is like how you work with your spirit team or with forms of communication and information, and figure out how you work with it on a level. You're really going to be refining all of this, right? The adult in the room. So these perspectives that are falling away, right, that may have limited your capacity to be the adult in the room with yourself so much. That our perspectives can come from our inner child stuff in our early years. And that's often why we are not being the best adult in the room for ourselves, right? Physical health, taking care of ourselves, routine, getting into work and enjoying it, working healthily with other people. That this south node, this releasing of perspectives, is going to help you really refine and bring depth and nuance to the way that you work, right? It's going to be heightening your level of co-creation, heightening your level of really being the adult in the room because of a lot of things falling away. That's giving you the space to get a higher level of clarity of what it is that you need in order to be the adult in the room for yourself. And you got to trust in the process of the releasing, and knowing that perhaps, with her, they lived 6 months in a cage. She used to hate me, not hate, but have a nervous response if I touched her feet, right? And she was very restless because for 6 months, when people would come and see them, they'd have to stand up in the cage to be stroked, right? So anytime she was sort of sitting down, I could get away with 2 strokes before she'd get up again. So I've been very slowly, gently, getting her acclimatized to the reality that she's actually in, and while also fully trusting in her own capacity to evolve and change, and that not having to, I got out of a worry state with it and just did what I felt intuitively inclined to do in any given moment, outside of the fear and worry. And so this is really elevating the ways of working with other people with the South Node energy, which is this sort of inner understanding, and through that sort of inner world and that condensing energy, it helps you get out of fear, out of worry, and allows that maturity to come through and work with the principles of the universe. And one of them is trust. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but again, it's sort of that elevation of being in the adult in the room rather than smothering, rather than controlling her, trusted in her being the adult in the room for herself and over things that she didn't have control over to help facilitate her. And she's come to the space that she needed to be in, which is to get a lot more love and a lot more cuddles and a lot more feeling of safety and security, right? Sorry, I'm very obsessed with giving her all the cuddles in the world. And similar things have been happening with her sister as well. Okay, so the intention of this, and one of these cards wants to be in both piles. The intention of this transit in Gemini is the Queen of Swords and the Hanged Man in reverse. Now, the Queen of Swords is, I think we got the Queen of Swords in the last part of the cycle. She knows she's been through some difficult times, right? Of, perhaps not looking, not being able to be the adult in the room for yourself, or being burnt out and exhausted by all of the sixth house, right? But her head is now above the clouds. Her hand is open to receive. She's getting communications through the solar star plexus, through her crown chakra from this bird, of a higher way of thinking and integrating that and really bringing depth and nuance to it. So again, it's that sort of the pulling back and observing what's unfolding in the way that you work, right? That you, there's what is naturally falling away that is actually leading to a deeper refinement and an awareness of a new reality that's coming in. That Hangman in reverse is all about the cycle of you getting a different perspective that's leading you to a level of enlightenment with that halo, right? A big download of understanding how to be the adult in the room for yourself, right? From a higher wisdom, that you're then able to take that wisdom and infuse it into the way that you work. Now, this card also wanted to be in the upright with pile 2, which is how to work with this energy. So, the Hangman in reverse, pause. Give yourself a moment of pause, right? Allow your perspective to naturally shift by going inward, right? Doing that yin energy of softening and being open to receive wisdom from your soul about how best to proceed. This is a very, very big pause card with the fastest knight in the tarot. So from the Hangman, nearly said high priestess then, but the Hangman gets us to the high priestess. Of allowing this shift of your perspective, allowing this pause for, you know, if there's one of the themes of the 6 you've got a question over or a query over, or you don't quite know how to act, or you think you know how to act. This is like, get into that zone, whether it's a couple of seconds of breath, I mean, that's very little breath work, couple of rounds of breath, a softening and activating of your third eye. Then the intuition that you're going to get from that is going to lead to a clarity of mind of action to take. Okay, now the Knight of Swords, as I said, fastest moving horse in the deck. See these clouds? They are linked into the 5 of Swords, which is the only other card that has those oh my god, clouds. And this figure, and that's all about domination, victim mentality, bully mentality, you know, winning at all costs and won the 3 of Swords kind of vibes. And for me, it's the most difficult card, the 5 of Swords. This figure, their idea that they've got, their strength of perspective is just rushing past all that conflict, right? Rushing past all that victim mentality and activating and embodying it, right? So they're really wanting you to go inward, and then the clarity that you'll get will just take you past the conflict, take you past the drama. At the bottom of the deck for that, we got the 6 of Pentacles, coming back into balance, moving away from a scarcity mindset around how you work, really valuing and seeing, you know, the truth of it. We got the scales here because that is your life path. So we're, again, the skills and the tool, the way that you work and how you're the adult in the room. You're no longer being neglectful, right? There's a level of maturity, so coming through that is in alignment with your life path. And this could be activating a cycle of getting more work, or your capacity to, because it's about can be about receiving opportunities. So there may be higher opportunities to work with other people in a way that is supporting the work that you're doing over in the 9th, of letting go of that 9 of Wands when you're interacting with other people, of like how you perceive and how others may perceive differently, right? It's helping you find your own power and not be diminished by old paradigms that may have influenced you. Right, let's get into, actually I'm just going to pause for a second. So I just want to loop back round to Gemini just for a second, because it is representing an inner yin energy of that South Node, that the kind of restrictions that we can see with the South Node can show up here, right? I'm just thinking of the Aquarius risings, who, not all of them, but this is, you know, as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, just found that certain working situations fell away. It wasn't like the career change or the career path. It was that for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, right? Source was redirecting a lot of them in the same profession, but that they would have been in a working environment that wouldn't have suited them. In terms of that co-workers and how you work, it wouldn't have so you got to trust in those kind of things where it may feel like, oh my God, that was the job I wanted, or whatever it was, that you got to trust that source has got your back at all times, even if it doesn't feel like it, that what doesn't happen during these cycles was meant to not happen. Right, let's get into the North Node in Pisces. So this is in your third house, whereas the ninth house where Virgo is the house of the gods. The third house is the house of the goddess, right? This is how you find meaning in your day-to-day, right? It's how you apply those perspectives, right, in the little things. I find the third house is so powerful to accessing higher realms of existing, right? Because the more that you find the joy and the abundance and the meaning in the washing up, right, or whatever it is, the more that ripples into the bigger picture, that you almost don't really have to engage in worrying about what's going on with the bigger picture so much when you do the work in the third, because it's how you find meaning. It's your local community, it's your environmental frequency, the things you do on a day-to-day basis, right? That things, oh God, I've got to do that again, right? This is not that, right? It's also the lens in which you communicate. It's about schools and learning things for the first time, as well as short distance trips. So the mirror opposite of the ninth house. And you've got the North Node in Pisces there. Again, this is where we're heading into new territory. This is where we're expanding. This energy is being amplified. The buzzword, words even, for this Pisces Virgo axis is practical magic, right? I go into that in more detail in part 1 and part 2. Right? That Piscean non-rational, non-linear energy, right? Very synchronistic, very faith orientated because it's ruled by Jupiter. Oh, that reminds me, pause, put a pin in that. This, for the Virgo and Gemini energy, you want to look to where your Mercury is in your natal chart, what house it's in and the themes of that house. Those themes are likely to play a very prominent role on a personal level of beyond this collective reading. You can also do like further things to go into the detail around your personal chart to really like give you a very clear understanding of the major aspects that are showing up for you in this transit. If you want a personal reading, my website is everywhere, or if you want to pay by PayPal, email me directly because this is a big transit. And for Pisces and Sagittarius, it's a Jupiter. Oh, forgot to remember. In the description box, I have listed all of the eclipses with the dates and the degrees. So you can look at the degrees and see if they're happening, if they're aspecting anything in your chart. Diana, I also list the signs that Mercury's going to be in for the whole transit. Right, it started off in your sign Capricorn. It's going to go all the way around the zodiac and then half again and end up in Cancer, which to me I think is wild. And then I've also listed the Jupiter energy as well. So this is just a big energy in your day-to-day. This is you heading into new space of how you find that meaning, of learning new things, of communicating in an expansive way. It's really, I'm feeling a great deal of energy right now. It's all coming through my heart space. Oh, that's far too many cards, guys. If you want to come out again, you will. So, right, this is really going to be amplifying the synchronicities in your day-to-day. You're going to be getting a lot of downloads from the Piscean energy, really amplification of you evolving and expanding into new territory in the way that you communicate. It's very, very powerful, with the releasing of the perspectives up in the ninth, leaving you with those sort of key perspectives that's then going to help you have trust and faith in how you communicate, right? There's going to be a lot of elevation and understanding and deep wisdom that you're going to get through the day-to-day and through, perhaps this may be you heading into new territory with your local community or in another area of that community or a different part of your area. You may find yourself wanting to be talking a lot. But overall, it's just generally a huge shift into new spaces when it comes to how you find meaning, when it comes to you connecting to your community. You may just feel the desire to go on lots of short distance trips, or more than you have done in the previous cycles. You may have a real focus on doing courses that you've never, over topics that you've never done before. Oh my goodness, sorry, my heart is melting. The cat's just gone back. She's called Lily. The other one's called Rose. I didn't ever get any strong impression of the name. I'm sorry, I'm going on about my cats. They're not mine. They do not belong to me. They are their own sovereign being. That we had them for ages before we renamed them, because for me, I wanted them to have gone outside for a long period of time so they could figure out who they were in lots of different scenarios rather than just be stuck in a cage for 6 months. That cat, it's not necessarily the same cat, that it truly is, right? And the person that I lived with was coming up with loads of names. I wasn't getting any inspiration at all. And then just one moment, I was just sitting and I heard really clearly Lily and Rose. Now, there wouldn't be the typical names that I would give. It does make me think of my great nan. She's called Ivy. Like that kind of, that, sort of post-war. Oh no, she was in the war, let's be real. That kind of frequency. Just don't know why I felt a resistance towards it. But when the names came through, they felt so on the money. And then the image I got straight afterwards was the Magician card, which has lilies and roses on it. And it just felt very, very, very powerful of like, don't try and force things. Don't try and force things at all. Surrender and soften. Throw those fears up to Source. Throw the fears up to Pisces. Let them be dissolved, and then the miracles come through. So you may be noticing a fair amount of heightened synchronicities going on in your day-to-day. That's just allowing you to believe in the magic, essentially. And that's going to really help with the refinement of your perspectives over in the sign of Virgo. Ituela. Give things time. Right, this isn't yang energy. This is even though the North Node is more of a yang energy, they're both in water and earth signs, which is yin in nature, which is about just let it unfold. Really trust in that. Diani moyana ina dishani moyani modoela dianima otofala. Yeah, so really heightened elevation to communication. That is, you may get a lot of jigsaw pieces and clues in very strange ways, and it might be having a journal where you write down the little jigsaw pieces. Because it's very non-linear Pisces, that you can then piece together at some point, that you don't have to have all the answers. And that's going to be a big thing in the way that you communicate, of being really comfortable with that. You're just going to have a lot more energy in the day-to-day, straightforwardly, really. It's going to be a real focal point on doing that kind of mundane stuff. It doesn't have to be mundane, but you know what I mean. Like doing the shopping, that kind of stuff. That you're just going to have more energy and more desire to find the meaning in it. Okay, bonus cards. All right. So the intention of this transit for you, very cool, right? We got the Ten of Swords in reverse, And you had that 10 of Wands for the Libra South Node, and you had the 9 of Wands in reverse. So very similar energy of letting go some big stuff, right? 10 of Swords in reverse with the Chariot. Fascinating. Okay, so this is very karmic, like the 10 of Wands, because all these swords, all these perspectives, all these understandings, these spells, these words, these styles of communication are falling away, that have immobilized you. They're all along the spine. Spine is very karmic, right? So a lot of old clutter that's blocked you from it being, from getting up and going and moving around and being your free self, right, in your day-to-day, that sense of heaviness, the weight of restriction of what you expect from it, right, of also the distortions in the way that you communicate perhaps and how you perceive information and engage with it. Right, this is you're letting go of a lot of karmic perspectives that no longer serve you with this transit. It is breaking you free. There's a real sense of liberation. And then we have the Chariot. Love this, because the Chariot is understanding that everything that has ever happened to it is a resource to help it move forward. It's not trying to control anything though. Look, no rains. Hi. We are not trying to control here. We are here to soften and surrender. I cannot stress that enough, right? It's hard. It's very hard. But you see that it's being guided by the two sphinxes, the yin and the yang, the balance, the understanding of when to push and when to pull. When to push and when to soften. Diana. But it's movement, and it's a victorious card, right? It's along with the 6 of Wands. This is about you. The result of this is you feeling fully embodied in your magic, moving around your day-to-day in a flow state. And the confidence in the way that you express yourself. You're not trying to control or plan or push at things, right? There's a real sense of alignment with that Chariot energy. It is also your 7th house of Cancer, so there may be something around heightened communication capacity with the other, right? Whether it's source, your lover, clients as well, of the way that you communicate is bringing in balance and flow and emotional healing, and a real sense of confidence, right, in the way that you're expressing and communicating with the other. The challenge. 7 of Wands, 9 of Swords, right? So this is... Right, the 7 of Wands for me. I love the 7 of Wands. This figure is on the higher ground, right? They have the higher perspective, right? They have something of value. They are on the higher ground, right? They have a good position. Do they look like they know it? Do they? Look at that face. Of all the faces in tarot, this one is like, oh, blank. They are very unsteady. They're wearing different shoes with different heels, right? And they do not feel like they understand their own value. They do not feel like they understand that their position is a good one. In fact, they are so dysregulated, they are perceiving the outside world as conflict. Think of the 6 of Wands, actually, which I already mentioned. You know, these are the 6 of Wands. They're all going off to go celebrate. It's got nothing to do with this person. But just because they're just thinking that, well, the life is scarce, right? Resources, abundance, being in a good place is scarce. So I've always got to be fighting for it. I've got to be on guard, right? But I so don't know my own value. So this is the worry. This is the challenge that's coming up, is for you to know your own value, for you to be confident walking about in your day-to-day, feeling the unconditional of love of source vibrating through you, rather than, you know, this also can apply to communication styles of, you know, that kind of really ties in with this 9 of Wands in reverse, of getting out of your head that, 1, you have to do battle, and 2, that you are not in a strong position, right? This figure can turn around and walk away, right? They do not have to engage. So there may be challenges come up where certain situations or scenarios where you're feeling really unsteady about what you're capable of, what you're communicating. And I genuinely want you dip back into your heart. Dip back into your heart and give that fear away over to Source right now, right? With that North Node in Pisces, last sign of the zodiac, very damn magical, lots of miracles. Also all about unconditional love, right? The great mystic of it all. Give it away. Give. It does not need to belong to you. You do not need to hold on to it. And then we have the Nine of Swords, which has the vast capacity to strip us of our joy, of our meaning, of us being present in the day-to-day, right? This is about worries and fears, regrets about the past, freaking out about how the future is going to unfold, and it gets you in cortisol and adrenaline mode, and you cannot even breathe, right? Your head is pounding. The heartbeat is loud in the ears, and we're in a feedback loop of fear and not being present and not being able to sleep and rest and also stop and stare at the roses, right? That's the trick with the third, of finding the joy, finding the beauty in the little things, in the little moments, because it gets you present. It gets you present time and time and time and time again. So this is all this fear that's being cleared out over in Virgo. You know, this is about the worries in your life that may be stopping you from feeling that it's okay to smile at a flower. You know, sometimes we can be so in it that we're almost sort of numb inside, that we're not able to cultivate that sense of, oh, wait, no, there is still joy. It is also huge social anxiety over what you may have said, right? What you have to say in the future. Say you've got a work thing, you've got to plan out a presentation. Again, we've got a lot of surrender energy going on with this North Node. Let me cut the deck to see what's going on. Okay, Six of Swords. This is about understanding that you are moving away from this troubled energy, right? You're heading into a new landscape, but they want you to think about what core perspectives are going to serve you to thrive in your day-to-day. Focus on that, and focus on then implementing that when you find that you're in this space, right? So, you know, as cheesy and corny as it sounds, love is the fundamental of the universe, right? Anything else is a response to love or the lack thereof. So step back into your heart, right? Do a little meditation, let things soften, and then see what comes through that. What perspective comes through when you open up your heart, and it won't be these two things. How to work with this energy, big major arcana. Oh, hi, Aries, linking in that North Node in Aries, moving into Pisces now, right? This is you standing in your power, your sense of sovereignty, your sense of divinity, the I am of it all. Do not externalize yourself to the outside world. Like, this is your root energy coming through of like, you've got this, whatever's going on, you've got this, you're protected, you're able to figure out through your own wisdom how to work through all of this. You know, the Emperor is King of Kings, right? So it understands, even more so than the kings and the rest of the court, that it is connected to source. You see, it's got an ankh there, right? That is the divine vibrational tool to bring in source energy, right? So this is knowing that you are, you know, that spark of spirit, right? That it will then help you get out of this space. It will help you release these karmic perspectives by focusing, okay, well, what do I believe? How do I find meaning? How do I want to communicate, right? Rather than, you could do practices actually around, you know, tapping into your throat chakra and asking either like from people in this incarnation or from the ancestors or from soul lineage that have a wound around communication or not being heard or taking up a lot of space or whatever it is. You could ask the energies to show you one of those wounds that are in your throat chakra, and do healing on it. They just put that card at the throat chakra on the left hand side. Now some code is coming through. Dot, 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 Whoa, that was cool. They had this hand, one finger like by the nose, by the eye, the other by the other side of the eye, and then one like at the top of the throat, of like seeing clearly and speaking with clarity. Tuela di alamo du fala di anima. Wheel of Fortune. Positive mindset. Understand that lots of things are shifting. And yeah, it's a Jupiter card, so very appropriate that it showed up over in the sign of Pisces. That there's this just acknowledgement that things are changing, right? Try not to focus on the past. Try not to focus on the old dynamics that you may have genuinely experienced. This, as I said, we're all doing a trust fall with Source at the moment. We're all cracking ourselves open to be like, okay, new things are coming in, right? It is possible. Miracles are possible for everyone. Obviously, Source is fully abundant. It's just our mindsets and the denser frequencies we've incarnated into that we're navigating and working through those restrictions. Right, Sagittarius. So this Sagittarius energy is going to be where this North Node in Pisces is manifesting. So Sagittarius is your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries, right? This is your connection to book religion. Ooh, these come flying out. Connection to a book religion. No, what am I saying? Not at all. Sorry, that was the night. It is the hidden house, the house of mysteries, the unseen spaces. It's the unconscious spaces. And in those unconscious spaces can be trauma responses, limiting beliefs, and love languages that we learn at a very early age that get rooted in our unconscious, then govern our actions, right? We can get anxiety, depression, loss, grief, isolation here. But underneath all of that good stuff is the magic of your soul. Capricorn. It's Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your power up. And it's the cosmic joke from the cosmic troll that it puts the magic of our souls underneath all of the conditioning in the unconscious realms. And that is why you'll see in lots of book religion, lots of spiritual paths, the inner work is the key. The 12th house can feel deeply personal to you, but not necessarily integrated in the rest of the chart. Right, it's that thing that's that you're in your really private spaces, but it is also the magic of your soul. So the more that we understand that, and then we start to integrate that and work that into the rest of the chart, the more we bring the chart into full circle. So lots of magic. I know lots of people with lots of stuff in the 12th who are very connected to the unseen realms. So this communication North Node expansion is activating a higher level of communication with the magic of your soul. That's just a flat out yes to that. As well as highlighting, because the North Node can exaggerate, right? Wherever it is, can highlight, it may be, right, and this is not going to be for all of you, take what resonates. It could potentially bring to the surface, accentuate, because this is where this energy is building, mental health issues, right? In order for you to move into new territory with them. And then find a deeper meaning in your day-to-day. Right? As I said, that's not necessarily going to be for everybody. It can also provide deeper wisdom and expansion and head into new spaces around all of those things that you haven't been able to do for quite some time, right? So it's a real sense of heightened connection to the magic of your source, potential in order to help heal and clear issues around anxiety, depression, unconscious responses that no longer serve us. We're expanding into new territory here, so it can highlight the old territory and the themes of this house in order to transmute and activate and power forward. Having my brain is just frozen. Yeah, so really getting to grips with your mental health, and you could find yourself going down a rabbit hole of figuring out how the unconscious works, how the subconscious works. That will be really powerful. Because then that'll help you understand how to communicate with it. You might just find yourself getting a bit more magical, a bit more ritualistic, focusing on dreams, the occult. All of that can get amplified with this, right? Of you exploring new ways of communicating with the unseen realms. Please be very careful though, especially with there's a certain board that a lot of people say you shouldn't use. Do with what feels right for you, obviously, all the time. Okay, so the intention of this transit, Page of Cups, here for it. High Pisces energy, high talking to a fish, and that fish is talking back and you're not weirded out by it. Again, that fresh energy, non-jaded page, right? Excited, want to learn new things, new opportunities, new ways of communicating from a place of magic, from a place of love. So the pages are very studious, right? Your capacity to learn and grow and evolve. One, with working with your unconscious distorted responses, helping heal them. That may be distorted love languages, right? As well as elevating your connection to the unseen realms and being really open and curious about it, because you're bringing that Pisces energy in, right? And you're finding that fire of Sagittarius and the mutable energy of adapting and changing to new things. But overall, this one, heightened communication with the magic of your soul, heightened communication with other unseen realms, heightened capacity to communicate with your unconscious from a place of love. So we have that anxiety, that fear, that worry there, soothing that and finding new ways of navigating that space. How to work with that energy. Seven of Swords. Love the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords is stealing away the Five of Swords. Five of Swords, as I said earlier, is one card in tarot that I'm like, that's a hard one to tackle, right? Because it's about the bully in the room, the victim mentality, the cycle between the two, domination and subjugation, winning gleefully and happy no one else has won. But what if you won? The Three of Swords, conflict of the mind, the bully in your head. They've just put this card at the third eye. And this figure is stealing that away. Stealing it away from you, right? So it's about thinking differently. It's about getting beyond the conflict mentality in your 12th house, where there's anxiety, right? Where there's real worry, where there's depression. All of that is conflict, right? The conflict in your unconscious responses that have kept you in a cycle of either bully or victim mode. They're both the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin, right? And it's left you with the Two of Swords. We've had the Two of Swords already. I think it was for the Virgo energy, where it's about the recalibration back to inner equilibrium, back to peace. So this is how to work with it, is when you find you're in a sort of a ruminating space, go and do something different. Go and brush your teeth, right? Go and break the cycle. Acknowledge it, honor it, go thanks, cheers. But next, it is also about opening yourself up to think in different ways, to observe in different ways, because you're bringing in the communication, but also the unconscious, like how there's this focus of releasing that conflict in the unconscious spaces, and often that is about how we're communicating in the internal spaces. So at the bottom of the deck, whoop, Nine of Pentacles. Releasing that conflict is getting you into a space of confidence and embodiment of making the right decisions, we're going back to this card, that serve your holistic life. Right? We can have a lot of scarcity mindset in the unconscious realms, a lot of wounds that aren't ours, that maybe the ancestors, right? Maybe our parental figures that have blocked us from being confident and independent and walking our own path, right? And making the right decisions that create abundance rather than scarcity, rather than conflict. So this root energy here with this is very powerful because it's then going to show up in the 3D. This feels very you in alignment with the magic of your soul and creating heaven on earth. Whoa, okay, well, Dishana, 10 of Cups at the bottom of the deck underneath that. So now we're getting into the oracle cards. So first up is from the Four Agreements Oracle. Ooh, Dianima. Okay, it flipped back into the deck, but it's don't make assumptions, eliminate gossip. But we're going to get another one that wants to come all the way out. That's the main message. It's based on a book called The Four Agreements, which was written by a Virgo sun. And this deck was given to me by a Gemini rising, so very mercurial in nature. We're obviously dealing with Mercury on this side of the desk, of the table even. So this is what's Mercury, what's the big message from Mercury, right? What's the support that Mercury wants to give us? And that Four Agreements book is one of the few books that I would recommend to absolutely anyone. It is very short and very cheap. There's often lots of second-hand ones. And if you start working with those Four Agreements and start putting them into practice, your life will change. Be impeccable with your word. Cultivate faith. I love this because it's your 9th house of your perspectives and the way that you put those perspectives to work, Virgo and Gemini, but it's also tying in the faith of Jupiter. And the 9th house is often, it's one of Jupiter's best placements, is the 9th, of finding that faith, right? And having that as a perspective. To have great faith is to have great power because your intent, your will is undivided. When your word isn't dissipated by doubt, the power of your word becomes even stronger. Ooh. I'm going to give a little second to let that settle. Yeah, really do go watch part 2 for the Virgo energy. We're letting go of a lot of control and a lot of, that North Node, it's in Pisces, right? We're leaning towards faith and we're letting go of the hyper-materialistic, rational, logical observation energy of Virgo. That's then freeing the miracles of source to come swooping in. Right, we have 4. This is a card for the Jupiter energy, and it came out very quickly. And this is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. Big fan of that deck. Even though a lot of the cards at some point in the book, it's like, if you don't do this now, you will lose out on this energy, and that's not my vibe. So if it says this on this card, take it with a pinch of salt. Take with what feels right for you. Jeweled web connectivity. Connectivity, no separation, the feeling state. Approaching any oracle requires you to come in with certain expectations. You're either looking for confirmation of what you already know or attempting to shed light on what eludes you on the obvious path you're on. You're asking whether you will reach a desired goal of some kind. You're rarely able to see beyond memory or projection, and so, naturally, everyone comes to the oracle with a narrow perception of what's possible. Imagine that the answer to your question is not about landing at a particular destination, meeting a goal, connecting to a special lover, reaching an endgame, or experiencing anything specific. Instead, you discover a shimmering web of jewels you didn't know existed. The world is interconnected in a living web of energy. It isn't possible to know how any of it works, but know this: What is in your highest good is a sparkling jewel that lights up for you among this web of possibilities. You just need to know how you want to feel and choose this consciously. This is so the Piscean energy, letting go of that Virgo energy. Take your focus off getting anywhere. Practice feeling, hello water, and being in a place where your desired experience has already come to pass. That is the non-linear miracle energy of Pisces. Who will you be when this is true for you? Can you be that now? Feel that now. Practice that, right? That's the meaning in the day-to-day, the joy, the being able to do all the things and finding that deeper resonance in your little life, not your little life. I did not mean that in any way, shape, or form. In the little things. I tue la di anima. Practice that. The better you know your path within this web of life, the more it will light up for you. It is celebrating you already. Very much incorporating the Pisces energy. And also I feel in terms of what I'm saying about communication as well, that you're going to be able to connect the dots to certain forms of communication that may have eluded us as a species, right? So that especially with what's going on in the 12th house of a heightened connection to your higher self, to other beings, whatever it is that you're going to see show up in the 3D, right? You're going to, oh, that was quick. But it's, you know, as I said, maybe if you're getting the little clues, the jigsaw pieces, having a journal where you can write them down without any expectation of knowing what on earth they mean, because that's what we're letting go of this sense of shame if we don't know something. And that is acting as like a mechanism of energy that is creating a web of connectivity that you are consciously engaging in, even if you don't know what it means yet, that is then allowing that sense of connectivity internally in the 12s to manifest, and you feel more connected to your incarnation, right? We have waterfall, effortless, and this is from the Earth Magic Oracle. I'm tapping into the Virgo energy with this, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about the Virgo, the 9th house. But it's just an energy that Virgo is wanting to bring in to let us know of how to work with it and support it. Water naturally flows from higher to lower ground, eventually finding its way to the ocean. Well, one of nature's most exquisite and dynamic demonstrations of this fact is the waterfall, graceful, powerful, and effortless. She can take our breath away with her cascading beauty. She readily flows around that which may otherwise impede. She's extremely patient, persistent, and skillful in the way she is ever so gradually shapes and carves her passageways down the slope of the mountain. Note how the waterfall forms ribbons that accord with the artistry of the stone faces she descends, joining the calmer pool for the rest before she continues her journey. There is no strain or stress in this movement. The water simply follows natural law and the interaction between the formations of the precipice that she travels and the powerful fluidity and adaptability of her flow. Effortless. You have come to the edge of your comfort zone and find yourself fighting to resist moving past that perceived precipice of who you are, how you can be, or what you can do. Spirit is asking you to step beyond the edge and allow yourself to do so with ease rather than struggle. Yes, at times physical exertion is necessary, but when performed with fluidity and grace, even when the task seems daunting, you'll find the movement moves you effortlessly. This is great support energy coming in for that Virgo. You know, I've been saying throughout the reading, it's about not pushing, it's about softening and the flow state, right? And letting go of control and expectations. And this is just beautiful to go with the Virgo energy, but it's also bringing it in for the rest of the chart. Approach the present situation or relationship with awareness and grace. Do not try to make it effortless. That just creates more strain. Lol, legit. The key word here is to allow. This is not a time to fight, but to surrender to the will of spirit, even if you're being asked to let go completely and tumble into the brink of creation itself. Lol, 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 lol. You will find the waters there to be ultimately still and calm. Keep your focus on the solar plexus and your breath, breathing through any tension, relaxing and yielding to the movement that is occurring at any given moment makes your life effortless. Ooh! True words. Very true, very valid. As someone who has a Virgo sun, who has been, a control freak's probably a strong energy, but like very observant, understands what might lead to what, and wanting to be prepared for it, right? I have had to let go of all of that. Let go of the perfectionism, right? That fear of the unknown, the fear of not being good enough. And the more and more that I do it, and I'm still at a very, arguably quite a baby stage probably on the scale, the knock-on effect is profound, is so profound. I cannot ignore it. I just can't. I'll go and talk about my cats again. So I'm pulling a card for the Pisces energy right now. Ituela, one of the cats, the other one, not the one who you saw on camera today. Rose, very independent, likes to be out and about in the world. And she was out. Usually she pops out for maybe 2 hours, comes back, eats a tiny bit of food, then leaves almost immediately. Fine, great. She was out the other day for at least 6 hours, the longest she's ever been out. And I went through various stages of our brains and my brain can just catastrophize really quickly of, oh, I've observed patterns, she's never done this before, therefore this means she has hurt herself, she cannot move, she's stuck in a bush in the middle of nowhere, no one knows where she is, no one's going to find her, kind of energy. Welcome to my brain. That used to be relentless, it used to be all the time like that. And then I'd go through the practices of going, breathe. Just because you haven't observed this before doesn't automatically mean danger. And that's a very primal thing, because of our observational skills have been very, very supportive of our survival, right? But we are allowing a softness here, right? Of releasing that fear, that worry of the unknown, right? And not seeing danger there immediately. And I went through various stages of trying to genuinely feel in my body, not have that kind of like, oh, she's still not back yet. She's still not back. I've gone and done. I did a recording, and I was like, oh, that's a 2-hour recording, and she's still not back. I was like, said to her sister, go out and find her. I went out and called for her, and then I just had to sit down and just really, really just go, come on, this is ridiculous. This is poison. This is absurd. Trust. And I can't, and this is annoying because it would have been helpful, but I can't exactly remember what I did that all of a sudden my body was like, okay, right, I give up on this fear thing. I'm going to sit in to softening, right? And really feel it all through my body. Less than 10 seconds after I did that, guess who comes in? Oh my goodness me. It's just what, and I know that seems like a really little thing, but when you start seeing that over and over again, ituela di animo, dushanima di anima, di animo duela, di shanimo duela, di alamo otuela. The more that you see it show up in the tiny little things, and that's what I mean about the third house energy of like that then ripples it. You can, because you're seeing lots of small things, and then you're like, oh, I can trust that. Oh, I can trust that. Oh, it's happened again. Oh, okay. Rather than like leaping to the big thing of, I will get the biggest house that I've ever wanted, the best career, I will live all of my life in the fullest of all the things. And then there's that part of your brain that's like, yeah, sure. When you focus on the little things and you see it show up in the little things, it dissolves restrictions in your body that allows you to have a greater faith to not only the little things working out, right, but the bigger things as well. Okay, this deck's being really resistant. Ituela di anima, otuela di anima, itani. I'm not going to worry about it though. Ituela di anima, ishani moyena, di anima, otofiane, di anima, otuela. Oh my goodness. 1 hour, 46 minutes. Hi, Capricorn. Well done for making it through all this. Ituela di shanima. Yanamo, tuela. Dianima. Ishi. Do we have a card for Capricorn? This is the Keepers of the Light Oracle deck by Carl Gray. Di shanamo, tuela. Diani Mortuela. Okay. Cut the deck, because sometimes the deck is like, use me in a different way, please. Thank you. We have White Eagle, Ancestor Spirit. Connect your lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. White Eagle is a Native American shaman who is dedicated to honoring our spiritual heritage. He is a world-renowned spiritual guide who has been particularly cherished by mediums all over the world. He first spoke through a medium called Grace Cook in the early 20th century. He is the guide who helps create clear channels in our bloodline and our spiritual lineage so we can access the heart of Creator. He also helps us move into sacred ceremony, where we can hold sacred space and honor a change, transition, celebration, or anything else that deserves time. He is wonderful for clearing space, and we can call on him for help in forging spiritual connections. Take some time to honor just how far you have come, recognizing through ceremony and ritual the shifts in your awareness, healing, and journey really allow you to move into a state of grace and gratitude. You have or have recently had an opportunity to heal an old family wound or pattern, very appropriate for that North Node in Aries in the 4th. It's important to connect with your family and spirit so that you can set new energy of love in place. White Eagle is bringing your ancestors through to you and allowing you to know that they are happy and well. He is sounding his sacred drum to clear your spirit. That is so beautiful in terms of the support around communication, around blocking of finding meaning in that day-to-day, right? Of that around those perspectives, the distortions, right? That have stopped that knowing of love, right? That embodiment of love of source, right? Right. So that's the end. I am going to close out the reading by cutting the deck for the oracle cards to see what we get, which I do after every video. And then I'm like, whoa, that's so in alignment. And so I'm trying to bring at least the oracle cards in because it clarifies express your love with going with cultivate faith. So allowing yourself to be vulnerable in how you truly love. We've got river and movement with waterfall, again highlighting the flow state and the acknowledgement that you are moving from one space to another. We've got with jeweled web and connectivity, spirit of the river, movement towards adventure. So again, trusting in the unfolding, trusting in the flow of what's going on. Oh, this was interesting because, cut the deck, she was underneath this card, right? When I cut the deck before. Earth connection, be mindful of the planet, come back to earth, stay grounded. So this is you connecting to your 3D existence and how you find meaning in it, rather than losing yourself in the higher realms, right? Of wanting to ascend and disappear. This is about you creating heaven on earth, helping work and clear out some ancestral lines in communication and really amplify your capacity to get messages, clues, synchronicities from those lines. And again, all the wounds of the 3rd and the 12th that are in your unconscious, right? That you're helping release a lot of that. And I like the reference with oh, not that. Where are you? Where'd you go? Why am I holding? Oh, it's here. Rather than seeing the day-to-day as not very special, we've got that reference of sacred space. So finding a little more ritual in your life, in your day-to-day. Right, my lovely Capricorns, I'm going to leave you there, 15131 as I look at the clock. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, hit that like button, leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. If you want a personal reading going further into this, email me or go through my website. Jupiter, wherever your Jupiter is for the Pisces Sagittarius energy, the house that it's in, those themes are going to add those themes into what came through here. Capricorn, be good to yourself, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.